Sequel to SENGKUNI The Antagonist. SENGKUNI is the personification of cunning character, jealousy type, full of hatred, full of vengeance, bad envy, bad behavior, bad influencer, dirty minds, provocator, and last but not least, antagonist. SENGKUNI is an antagonist in the Mahabaratha epic. He is the uncle of the Kurawa from the mother's side. SENGKUNI, with a sturdy figure and shoulder-length hair that is tied back, is known as a cunning character who always stimulates the Kurawa to be hostile to the Pandawa. He managed to wrest the Indraprastha kingdom from the hands of the Pandawa through a game of dice. According to the Mahabharata, SENGKUNI is the personification of Dwa Para Yuga, or the period of the chaos on earth, and Kali Yuga, known as the Dark Century. Glossary. Mahabharata tells the story of the quarrel and fight between the Pandawa and the Kurawa over the throne of Hastinapura kingdom. Mahabharata contains a lot of Hindu philosophy and worship and discusses the Chatur Purusartha, or the four purposes of human life. These four purposes include Dharma, is the truth and moral values; Artha, the prosperity and basic needs; Kama, the physical spiritual pleasures and compassions; and Moksha, the freedom of spiritual values. Glossary. In the Mahabharata, the word Kurawa was originally used to refer to descendants of King Kuru or members of the Kuru dynasty, whose background was the palace of Hastinapura. In particular, the meaning of the word narrows to sons of Dastarata, the eldest prince in the Kuru dynasty who was blind before the birth of the Pandawa. In the Mahabharata, the number of the sons of the blind Dastarata is 102. 101 people were born by Gandhari, while the other was born by his concubine. The leading ones are Duryodhana or Suyudhana and Dursasana. Almost all of the Kurawa are male, except for one, Gandhari's daughter, whose name is Dursilawati or Dursala. Glossary. Pandawa is a Sanskrit term which means son of Pandu, the king of Hastinapura, the little brother of Dastarata. The Pandawa consisted of 5 people: Yudhishthira, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, and Sadewa. They are the protagonists in the Mahabharata, while the antagonists are the Kurawa, namely the sons of Dastarata, Pandu's big brother. The Pandawa are the main characters in an important part of the epic Mahabharata, namely Bharatayuddha, the great battle on the land of Kurukshetra, the battle of the Pandawa against the Kurawa and their allies. The story becomes an important story in the epic Mahabharata. According to the Mahabharata, each member of the Pandawa is an incarnation of gods. After Pandu died, the throne of Hastinapura was temporarily held by his older brother, the blind Dastarata, the father of the Kurawa. When Yudhishthira reached adulthood, the time had come for Dastarata to hand over the throne to Yudhishthira, as he is the eldest son of Pandu and the eldest prince of the Kuru dynasty. Meanwhile, Duryodhana tried hard to take the throne and get rid of the Pandawa. With the help of SENGKUNI, his maternal uncle, Duryodhana pretended to entertain the 5 cousins in a building that is made of flammable materials. When night fell, the Kurawa set fire to the building where the Pandawa and Kunti, their mother, slept. However, Yudhishthira had prepared himself because his uncle Vidura had heard of the assassination plan. As a result, the 5 Pandawa and Kunti managed to escape death. Pandawa and Kunti then went through various difficult experiences. After surviving the assassination conspiracy by Duryodhana and Sengkuni, the Pandawa and Kunti went and lived temporarily in the kingdom of Panchala. Arjuna managed to win the competition in the kingdom and got a beautiful princess named Drupadi. Arjuna gave the princess to Yudhishthira as the eldest brother. At first, Yudhishthira refused, but after being urged by his mother and 4 younger siblings, he finally agreed to marry Drupadi. Back to Sengkuni. When the Kurawa ruled in the kingdom of Hastinapura, Sengkuni was appointed as Patti. Patti is the equivalent of a minister or governor during the ancient kingdom. The Mahabharata stated that Sengkuni was the prince of the kingdom of Plasajanar during the reign of Subala, and Subala proposed Sengkuni's younger sister named Gandhari to be the wife of Dasharatha, a blind prince from Hastinapura. Sengkuni was angry at his father's decision to accept the proposal. According to him, he wanted Gandhari to be the wife of Pandu, Dasharatha's little brother. Because it had already happened, he followed Gandhari, who then settled in the palace of Hastinapura. Gandhari decided to always cover her eyes with a piece of cloth because she was very loyal to her blind husband. Gandhari has 100 sons, known as the 100 Kurawa, who have been raised by Sengkuni since their childhood. Under the care of Sengkuni, the Kurawa grew up to be children who were always filled with hatred for the Pandawa, the sons of Pandu. Every day, Sengkuni always inflames hostility in the hearts of the Kurawa, especially the eldest Kurawa named Duryodhana. Sengkuni was the main advisor to Duryodhana. He used various types of tricks and cunning to get rid of the Pandawa. Sengkuni ordered to set a fire in the Laksagraha building, where the Pandawa spent the night near the forest. But the Pandawa and their mother, Kunti, managed to escape from death. Sengkuni's most successful attempt was to seize Indraprastha from the hands of the Pandawa through a game of a dice against the Kurawa. This incident was caused by Duryodhana's jealousy of the success of the Pandawa in building Indraprastha, which was much more beautiful than Hastinapura. On the advice of Sengkuni, he invited the Pandawa to play dice gambling in Hastinapura. In the game, Sengkuni acts as a Kurawa dice thrower. By using his magic, he managed to defeat Pandawa. Little by little, the property of the Pandawa fell into the hands of Duryodhana, including the palace of Indraprastha. The Pandawa lost at the hands of Sengkuni. As punishment, they have to live for 12 years in the forest and then go undercover for a year in a town. If their disguise is exposed, they will have to repeat the 12 years of living in the forest and so on. After the 13-year sentence ended, the Pandawa returned to take back their palace from the hands of the Kurawa. However, the Kurawa refused to return Indraprastha. Various peace efforts were fought by the Pandawa, but all failed. War was the next option, later on known as the Battle of Bharatayuddha. A bit flashback, Sengkuni is said to have the real name Haryosuman. At first, the king of the Plasajanar kingdom was named Subala. After his death, he was succeeded by his eldest son named Gandhara. One day, Gandhara, accompanied by his younger brother and sister, namely Suman and Gandhari, went to the Mandura kingdom to take part in a contest for Dewi Kunti, the daughter of Mandura's king. On the way, Gandhara met Pandu, who was on his way back to the kingdom of Hastinapura after winning the Kunti competition. The battle arose, and finally Gandhara died at the hands of Pandu. Pandu then took Gandhari and Suman to Hastinapura. Arriving in Hastinapura, Pandu asked Dasharatha, his older brother, to marry Gandhari. Gandhari was very angry because actually she wanted to be Pandu's wife and she can do nothing but obeying her father's order. Suman also promised to always help his sister to vent her anger. Since then, Suman was determined to create enmity between the Kurawa against the Pandawa, the children of Pandu. Formerly, Haryo Suman was a handsome man. He started using the name Sengkuni since his face form and shape turned bad due to being beaten by Pati Gandamana, the prince of Panchala kingdom, who chose to serve as one of the senior ministers at the Hastinapura during the reign of Pandu. Suman, who has ambitions to seize the prime post of Gandamana, finally tries to get rid of Gandamana. One day, with his cunning, Suman managed to bring Pandu into conflict against Prabu Tremboko from Pringgandani kingdom. Pandu soon sends Gandamana as an ambassador for peace. On the way, Suman traps Gandamana so that he falls into his trap. Suman then returned to Hastinapura to report that Gandamana has betrayed and sided with the enemy. Pandu immediately decides to appoint Suman to fill in Gandamana's post. Gandamana, who remains alive, appears and drags Suman away. Suman was beaten so badly that his handsome face turned ugly. Since then, Suman is also known as Sengkuni, derived from the words Saka and Uni, which means from speech. That's it. He suffers from an ugly face as the result of his own words. After Pandu died, his heirloom called Tala oil was entrusted to Dastarata so that it would be handed over to Pandawa when they grew up. Tala oil itself is an heirloom given by the gods as a gift because Pandu had defeated an enemy of heaven named Nagapaya. Several years later, there was a fight between Pandawa and the Kurawa, who apparently also wanted the Tala oil. Dastarata decided to throw the oil and its bottle as far as possible. Pandawa and Kurawa immediately dispersed to prepare to catch it. However, didn't want to miss the chance, Sengkuni immediately pushed Dastarata's hand when he was about to throw the bottle. As a result, the bottle was broken and the tuning oil is spread on the floor. Sengkuni directly took off all his clothes and rolled on the floor to wet his skin all over with this magic oil. Since then, Sengkuni, who had been soaked in Tala oil, found his entire skin immune to all kinds of weapons. Even though his martial arts was low, not a single weapon was able to penetrate his skin. The death of Sengkuni. On the last day of Bharata Yuddha, Sengkuni fought against Bhima. His skin, which was immune to the effects of Tala oil, even made it difficult for Bhima to beat Sengkuni. Another Pandawa advisor, namely Romo Semar, appeared to tell Bhima that Sengkuni's weakness was in the rectum because that area must have not been affected by the oil. Bhima went back to Kurukshetra and Sengkuni was caught and tore his anus using the Panchanaka nails that grew on Bhima's fingertips. Sengkuni's powerful immune was destroyed. Violently, Bhima tore and skinned Sengkuni mercilessly. However, Sengkuni was only dying but not dead yet. On that doom afternoon, Bhima defeated Duryodhana, and in a dying state, Duryodhana specifically asked Bhima that he was willing to die if accompanied by Devi Banawati, his wife and life partner. On the advice of Krishna, Bhima took Sengkuni, who was still dying, to be handed over to Duryodhana. And Duryodhana, who had lost his sight due to a serious injury, immediately bit Sengkuni's neck, which he thought was Banawati. As a result of the bite, Sengkuni was killed instantly and died, as well as Duryodhana. The death of Sengkuni symbolizes the annihilation of cunning characters, jealousy, full of hatred, full of vengeance, bad envy, bad behavior, bad influencer, dirty minds, provocator, and antagonist. In this world, so many people behave like Sengkuni, but hopefully you are not one of the inheritors of bad behavior and traits like this goddamn Sengkuni, the personification of chaos on earth and the master of the dark world and nature. Thank you for listening and reading a bit of the sequel to Sengkuni The Antagonist, produced and narrated by R.J. Bondan Nurdianto.